It is 9:09. I am Rick Godley, and we're going to be talking about the Battle of Pleasant Hill. We have Katelyn, Calhoun, and Gary Stevens in the studio. At Shakin' Stevens here on the new Rue 102, 102.3. We're up online as well at kwxmfm.com. Date on the Gregorian calendar. Oh, by the way, this is the first full day of spring. The vernal equinox happened last night, so we're in springtime. It is March 20th, but we're also live streaming and for an event that's going to be coming up on April 12th, the weekend of, and it's Sunday the 14th, the 44th annual, the Battle of Pleasant Hill. In the studio, did she get the live stream piggybacked? Come on in here. It's not popping up? Okay. Do you know how to? Did you do it?
Well,
I've got both of them.
You got both of them live. Okay. Maybe. Let's check here because we want to do the most good.
There we are.
There we are.
Refresh your page.
Refresh your page. We're all learning this thing, and to do the most good. Gary Stevens from Jonesboro, and also we have, do you want me to say Katelyn Nicole, Katelyn Calhoun, or just Katelyn Calhoun?
Katelyn Calhoun is fine.
Katelyn Calhoun is fine. All right, so welcome in. First question is, I did a little research before you got here, and it says you're from Pleasant Hill, but I also found there's an old Pleasant Hill. What's the difference?
Okay, so I am from Pleasant Hill, but our history with this battle kind of ties into the whole name change. So where Pleasant Hill currently sits in the 1860s was a town called Sodus, S-O-D-U-S, Louisiana. And whenever the railroad came through Pleasant Hill where the battle occurred, the town kind of just moved to be closer to the railroad area. So Old Pleasant Hill is actually where our battlefield is, and New Pleasant Hill is where it currently sits.
Now the battlefield literally sits on a private site. However, this event is sustained by contributions from the community. It's only a $5 admission. Is that per day?
Yes, it is.
All right. And so tell us more about, what got you involved in this? You obviously are passionate about it.
Well, I'm definitely a history nerd. I love everything about the history of our area, and I'm fortunate enough to live in a place that is so inundated with that history. So I actually kind of got started with the battle just from growing up in the area, but we have a pageant that's associated with our event. So I am one of 4 cousins that have been Miss Battle of Pleasant Hill. So we kind of have a legacy of that in our family, but that's really what got me heavily involved in 2004.
2004, you were Miss?
2006, I was Miss Battle of Pleasant Hill, but 2004, I was our teen queen, but yeah, that's how I got my foot in the door.
We'll touch on that in a second, but let's pass the mic. This is my second time to meet Gary Stevens. Gary, well, first of all, good morning, and thanks for coming on in here. Tell me a little bit more about, because I know it's the Trans
Mississippi Volunteer Infantry, also known as the TMVI.
Okay. So you're the colonel of that?
I am the colonel of that battalion. It consists of about 7 different companies, 3 out of Texas and 4 out of Louisiana.
All right. And so how many fall under your command?
Somewhere between 100 to 150.
How many battles of Pleasant Hill have you participated in?
30. This year will be 38.
38 out of 44. Take us back to page 1 because your wife's in the hallway, so you better tell the truth. And how did that conversation start? 38 years ago, 39 years ago?
Yes. She was all for it. We had visited Pleasant Hill before then and had watched the battles for about 3 or 4 years before, and so it just grew from that, seeing that, and then wanting to be out there on the field with the explosions and the gunfire.
Well, I'll go there. What drew you to that 42 years ago, or maybe even 50 years ago? Were you involved in history coming up and you found that? Okay.
Yes. History was always important to me. Where I first learned about the Civil War was we went to Six Flags Over Texas. And they used to have the Confederacy there, and they would have guys dressed up in the Confederate uniforms and walk around, and they picked kids out of the audience to come up and help drill, and I was one that got picked.
And how old were you?
I was 4 years old.
Did you hear that? He was 44 years old, and he, no,
Yeah.
4 years old. So I guess,
Yes.
and the point being here is that we all need to be mindful that we leave an impression on those we don't even think we're impressing, not that we're out to impress them. You understand what I mean?
That's
You got
correct.
impressed, and then obviously it was nurtured. So teachers
Yes.
are critical in this. Historians are critical in this to preserve as well as tell the story, his story, her story. So that's pretty neat. 4 years. So that was obviously the seed sown. Until what age? When you said, you know, honey, I think I'm actually going to get a uniform and get involved in this.
Right. I was 28 years old when I finally got in the uniform. After going to Six Flags, I came home and told my grandmother about what had happened at Six Flags, and she says, "Oh, my daddy was a Confederate soldier," and so that just really helped spark it.
From Jackson Parish?
No, from Palestine, Texas.
Okay, so in Palestine, Texas.
And he was at Mansfield.
All right, so the Battle of Pleasant Hill, and I'm showing a picture there, Gary. Is that the uniform that you wore 38 years ago?
No, it's not. No, it's not.
All right, so tell us, pass the mic back there, if you would, Katelyn. This is more than a battle. You mentioned pageants, so let's talk about that. I think a parade is involved. What else can we say to put the sizzle on the steak for people who are going to watch this later on and say, you know what? I've always been wanting to come. This is the year we're going to come.
Well, I think the first and most important thing is that our battle is more than a date. It's more than, something that happened 160 years ago this
Right.
year. But at our event, there are so many different experiences. Of course, we have the pageant side, which our queen serves as our representative. She does a lot of traveling and promotion for us. But whenever a visitor comes to Pleasant Hill, the most important thing is that you are standing on the very spot where the actual battle took place. So that is very rare. That is something that happens for a Civil War reenactment, that we're held on private property, that is the actual battlefield.
It's hallowed ground.
Yes, it is. So whenever you're there, you're really taking a step back in time and kind of immersing yourself in that time period. So whenever you're there, you'll get to see demonstrations of different things throughout that weekend. We have a field hospital that's going to be set up. We have a Sutler Row, which sutlers are period vendors. They're shops. We have a soda shop that comes in, and some things like that are really fun. But really and truly, the main thing is just to kind of be able to visit with people like Gary that have ancestors that fought there, and that just being on that property.
Well, you're bringing up another point, the educational value of this,
Yes.
and I noticed that you're reaching out to as many school districts as possible to make possibly a field trip day out of this.
Oh yeah, we have a school day every year. Usually we have anywhere from 700 to 800 kids, and they come from all over the state. But our education day on Friday, April 12th, is one of our biggest events that we are very passionate about, because at the end of the day, one of our goals is to educate people about our battle and the history there.
Battleofpleasanthill.com, battleofpleasanthill.com. I'm going to flash up on the screen. It is obviously a historical marker just entitled Cemetery, and I'll read this for the radio audience. After the Battle of Pleasant Hill, many brave men were put to rest here. Some wore gray, some wore blue. And that's the reason why, to me, war personally sucks, but it's real, and we got to honor them. You tell me more about that. You said, Katelyn, I know about that marker.
Oh yeah. So we have several different markers on our property, but that one in particular is kind of marking a mass grave that we are aware of. That's one of the mass graves that we're aware of on the property. So that was placed in honor of those men, and we do honor both sides. If you were at our battle, you're important. You have a story, and we are honoring you whenever we have this event. So that is one of those places that we hold a memorial there and remember those men every year.
All right, so the Battle of Pleasant Hill, by the way, is Friday, April 12th, Sunday, April 14th, $5 admission each day. And you can find out more information, battleofpleasanthill.com. Now, what about this marker that I have flashed up?
Okay, so we have several markers. The founder of our event, Dr. Poinbuff, whenever he bought the property, he started to build an actual battle park. So it's, has picnic tables and that kind of things. But then they started to place monuments throughout that park, that different groups donated these monuments. So that's one that has a newspaper article, I believe from I'm not sure which article that one is, but it was an article from the time that's placed on that particular stone, just so that people that visit the park can come and read it and learn a little bit of history while they're there.
All right, so the markers, this is a very memorable event. As a matter of fact, Gary, when and I'm glad I went up to see the Battle of Darbone Landing and to reinforce Katelyn's point, there was no Battle of Darbone Landing. There was no Lake Darbone, but at the same time, y'all do this, the reenactors, to go around to and share history, literally. But to Katelyn's point, this is an actual battlefield. Talk about that, because I know you all take this very seriously and honor both sides because blood is red. But at the same time, well, for you personally, what's the difference between being on an actual battlefield versus a reenactment?
What it means is that, this is where it actually happened, and that is the main thing of the importance. You can go to, say, Vicksburg, and you cannot have a reenactment at Vicksburg.
Oh, you're not allowed.
You're not allowed on the national park grounds.
Even so that means Gettysburg as well, right?
Not on the actual battlefield.
Right.
Yes, that's correct. And that is one of the things with Pleasant Hill that makes it so special to so many of the men in this area, in the Louisiana, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas area.
And when I went up to Darbone Landing, and very well done. Oh, by the way, I meant to play the actual gunfire, the cannon fire, and because this has been recorded, and folks can actually hear the cannon fire. It was well done. And we're guesstimating that maybe 100 were there. The Battle of Pleasant Hill, you're looking for what, upwards of 400 to 500, maybe 600?
Probably at a minimum of 500, yes. Probably close to 20 artillery pieces, cannons, mounted cavalry, dismounted cavalry. It's going to be a really big show.
Oh, you're Ed Sullivan all of a sudden.
Ed Sullivan.
Okay.
Oh, no, my age is showing.
I knew it right. I'm not going to. My sister was at the Ed Sullivan show when the Beatles were there. How my father got 4 tickets for that event, and she was 15. So we're going way off tangent here. But my father dropped off these screaming teenagers, 15 years old, and had to do something in the city while they were there. Okay, yeah. Battle of Pleasant Hill, 44th annual. What else can we possibly say here, Katelyn, this morning? You covered the pageant. What about vendors and what about sponsors? Is that available?
Oh, yeah. We definitely have a great pool of sponsors that support our event every year and honestly make our event possible. And throughout the weekend, like you said, we have several events. On Saturday morning, it kicks off with a parade at 10 o'clock, and that's in the actual town of Pleasant Hill, and that's a tradition we've had for a long time. And then, of course, whenever you leave the parade, you come on out to the battlefield, and you can kind of meander around, visit with our vendors. We have modern food vendors and historical, as well as, drink vendors and that kind of thing. So there's shopping to be done and a lot of history to be learned.
Sure.
So during that time, you can kind of walk around and visit with everyone. And then our main reenactment begins at 2 o'clock. Our opening ceremonies are usually about 1:30. So another cool thing, by the way, Rick, is whenever you come in and you pay your $5 to enter, you're going to be handed a radio with an earpiece. So during our reenactment, we have a play-by-play, almost like a live sports broadcast of the reenactment. So it's not just a static event that you're watching. You're actually kind of immersed in it, where we teach you some history, talk about things that are happening on the field, so that you have a better understanding of what's happening.
That's a great idea, because going back to the Battle of Darbone Landing, I just so happened to be there in a perfect day, and I did not know what was coming, but I positioned about 4 cameras, on the cannon, and then on the Union troops, and then the Confederate troops. But I didn't know what was going on. But as I watched it, obviously, this is rehearsed there, Gary. And how often? I mean, how long did it take that battle to unfold and rehearse? And then how long does it? How do you all talk about what's going to happen at the Battle of Pleasant Hill with 500 reenactors?
Okay, at the Battle of Darbone, that was more or less just a regular fight. There was really no rehearsing.
Okay, so you were winging it.
Yes.
Because
yes.
I noticed the
Yes.
flanking going on.
Yes.
All right, cool.
Yes. Now, when at Pleasant Hill, everything that is done out on the battlefield is under my direction.
And obviously everybody obeys and nobody acts up, and you don't have to.
Well, no, not necessarily.
I know.
I do have one major that is he likes to go off on his own.
Ooh.
So
We
sometimes
won't name
I'll have to bring him back. in.
Renegade Rick.
But yeah, the anything that you see that happens out on the battlefield is something that I had planned. It's in my mind.
I mean,
The scenarios. I try to be as historically correct as possible.
right.
With what I'm doing out there.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Before we close out of here, and then everybody takes this stream and knows what to do with it to help to get the most effect for the most people coming to the event, recruit. Because last time you and I talked, you talked about recruiting. How does one get involved? Because obviously others are out there that want to, but they don't know how to.
Yes. Actually, at Pleasant Hill, we are going to try to set up a recruitment booth. And if somebody comes in and is interested, we carry extra loaner gear with us everywhere we go.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're interested, come and talk to us. Let us know. We will put you with a sergeant and drill you, try to outfit you, make sure that you know what is safe to do and what is unsafe. Once you get out on the field, and if you're capable of doing that, then when battle time comes, we will put you in right next to a couple of experienced guys. And
well, plus you have Facebook, so people can reach out that way in private
Sure.
message, and awesome. Closing thoughts?
come see us because it's going to be great.
Katelyn, how about you?
Yeah, for sure. So touching on recruitment, please, if you're interested, come and talk to Gary and the guys, because we don't get to do this without our reenactors. So
Right.
we really revere our reenactors and appreciate them coming out.
Well, and make the appeal. This is male and female,
Yes.
For period reenactment. Talk about that.
It is. If you're a female, you can still be involved. We do have some female reenactors that would like to get involved, which is historically accurate for our event. We had a lady that fought at our battle that after she passed, she's buried at Chalmette Cemetery around New Orleans. But her name was Sarah Wakeman, but she was known as a soldier as Lyons Wakeman.
Wow.
So we have some cool history there. But of course, ladies are welcome to come out and represent as civilians, or just come with their significant other and just be a part of the event.
The phone is. I can't answer the phone in Talk Live. I had one more closing question. Reenactors, oh well. You got something else to say? You look like you did.
Well, visit battleofpleasanthill.com for
There you go.
more information. And
There you go.
touching on sponsors, once I mentioned the
Sure.
the radio show, we just want to thank the DeSoto Parish Tourist Commission for sponsoring that. They do a great job of partnering with us every year.
Awesome job. All right. Well, we got time to promote this, and come rain or shine, it's going to happen, right?
It never rains at Pleasant Hill.
It never. That's good. That's why it's called. Well, I found this ironic. I found the Civil War, the name, to be ironic. Let's have a war and be civil about it. There was nothing civil about this war, and it's a battle on Pleasant Hill. To me, it's just like, what's up with that?
Well, whenever John Jordan found the piece of property, he came from another state, moved to Pleasant Hill. It was a pleasant hill. He said it had a pleasant view, so that's where it got its name from.
I know what I was going to ask. Obviously, somebody influenced you, Katelyn, in a history way. What was the name of the teacher and/or parent?
Actually, there's been several people. It kind of started with a lot of the reenactors, but personally, whenever I was younger, Miss Catherine Vines was my high school history teacher, and Truman Durr and Sonny Hardy, who were past board members, Mr. Sonny is still a current board member, Mr. Truman is past, but they were heavily involved with planning the Battle of Pleasant Hill, and Mr. Sonny and I became close whenever I was in high school, and I was like, oh, you're so cool, you plan the Battle of Pleasant Hill, so that kind of started that interest, is with Mr. Sonny taking an interest in me. So thank you, Mr. Sonny, if you're watching.
There you go. You do have influence. Thank you, Katelyn, for coming. Thank you, Gary, for coming. And we'll see you when I play. All right. I wrote it down in my book. I'll be there Sunday.
Yay. We can't wait to have you.
All right. Let's get back to the music here on the New Rue 102, where we are at 9:29 time-wise. And everybody deserves music. We're still live streaming, just to make sure, because All right. Well, there you have it. How'd they do? I know how they did. So help them out and pass the word, okay? I didn't have to hold that up. I put that up. All right, y'all. Job well done.
Thank you. We appreciate you having
Killing
us.
the stream.